I'm going to promise you two things. I will never lie to you, and I will never mislead you.
Ros can never know anything about what happened. The moment she does, her position as Prime Minister becomes untenable.
I would move Parliament out of London. I'd put it slap bang in the middle of the United Kingdom, wherever that is.
Bradford?
Yes. Some of us have had our lives dictated to us from London for far too long!
No, I just need to ask her. No, don't put me on hold again. Hello? Oh.
Mr. Pritchard, the House of Lords has thrown out Mrs. Pritchard's parliamentary reform bill.
Is that it?
It's just been on the radio. Just now, they've just said. I think she's going to ride roughshod over them. I think she's going to invoke the Parliament Act.
Do they? Good. Well,
it is good, actually, because inevitably it'll prompt the question, what is the House of Lords for? If they won't sanction a bill that's clearly got so much popular support within the country and amongst its elected representatives.
yeah.
Shall I keep you up to speed?
Why not? Oh, hello. No, I don't need to speak to her. If somebody could just ask her where the cat's vaccination card is and get back to me, that's all I need to know. All right? Yes. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Oh, and Mr. Pritchard,
Kelly.
have you heard anything about this book?
What book?
Politics just shouldn't be this exciting. Of course, if she invokes the Parliament Act, the law lords could challenge her in the courts. They'd insist she was behaving illegally. Trying to move Parliament to Bradford should at least warrant a referendum. But will they bother? Aren't they shooting themselves in the foot? Isn't the outcome a foregone conclusion when she has so much popular support?
I've worked in the Treasury for nearly 2 years. I only ever once glimpsed the previous Chancellor.
She read your submission.
Which...
Replacing council tax with locally levied VAT.
Really? And she liked it?
That's one possibility. She's talking to the Prime Minister.
In there?
No, they use telephones. Would you like some coffee? Water?
Yeah, water is good, thank you.
Have you heard about this book?
I'm just asking you to pause and reflect before you do something you might regret. I know we've had this conversation before, but I was sort of hoping we might have it again.
I've said I'd do it. I'm on record as having said that if they threw it out, I'd invoke this act, business thing, to get what I want.
Fine. I'm asking you not to do it right away. That's all. I'm asking you to pause, at least until tomorrow.
To what end, Catherine?
Ros, no one invokes the Parliament Act lightly, and certainly not this early on in their administration. And anyone who's encouraging you to do so is should know better. It's bully tactics. It's bad politics. It almost always backfires on the government. Look at the last time it was used.
The fox hunting bill.
You have to be seen to be considering the Lord's proposed amendments before you can convince everyone who matters that there is absolutely no alternative.
Everyone who matters? The British public are all in favour of the move to Bradford, Catherine.
Don't they matter? I'm talking about the media, Hilary, and don't fuck with me. You're not up to it.
Could you not use that sort of language, please? On my intercom?
And I don't know where you've plucked this myth from, that the great British public are all in love with it anyway.
They are.
Not everyone.
A significant majority.
Not in London.
Are you smoking?
No. I might be.
Well, I'd urge you not to. You're no good to me dead.
Look. The point is, Catherine, that Ros is making a bold, clear statement
About who she is, about who she represents. And at the same time, she's sweeping the political board clean. And it's something that resonates with a lot of people.
Well, she should find a way of doing it with fewer devastating financial implications. And the bigger point, Miranda, is that the Lords are actually being very reasonable, if you think about it. They're happy with everything in the bill. Even the clause about the reform of the upper house, which effectively seeks to abolish them, for God's sake. How much more reasonable can they be? Does it not occur to any one of you that they might have a point about this bloody Bradford business?
You're swearing again.
I'm coming round, Ros. I can't talk to you like this.
Fine.
Finish what you've started. This is an unprecedented opportunity to change the face of British politics forever.
I agree with Hilary.
It's too big. I need her on side.
Has anyone heard anything about this book?
What book? What book?
It's called The Pritchard Perplex. We were going to brief you on it this afternoon.
It's about you, your rise to power, your government, the people around you.
Oh?
It's written by Alex Raphael.
Have you read it? Is it good? Is it bad? What?
Well, we don't know. It goes on sale at midnight tonight.
It's being billed as explosive and devastating.
As these things often are.
Yes, indeed, but
Being Alex.
there might be reason to assume that it is.
You mean somebody's finally worked out that I shouldn't really be here?
Nina? Chancellor.
10 minutes. Go and beat up the Prime Minister.
You're seeing a Paymaster General at 5 to 2.
Yes, I know.
This is Ben Sixsmith.
Hi.
Chancellor.
Ben's the senior policy advisor from the tax sector you asked to see.
Ah, yes. Good. I'm delighted. Keep up.
Chancellor, you read my submission.
How old are you?
24.
You're proposing replacing council tax with VAT set and collected at a local level.
It's not a new idea. It's been knocking around various right-wing think tanks for years. But it does have a lot going for it, as I hope I demonstrated in my paper. I take it this is something you're interested in?
Yes, keep talking.
OK. The system offers potential to make local government entirely self-financing, allowing democracy to rebuild itself at town hall.
How that?
Once freed from the constraints central government subsidy places on local government, elected councillors would have far greater freedom to decide for themselves how to deliver key local services. People would be voting on decisions made in their hometowns. The whole thing goes hand in hand with Mrs. Pritchard's proposals for local government as set out in the Parliamentary Reform Bill.
Do you know how many convictions for corruption there have been in local government over the last 10 years?
I agree, but taken another way...
I was in a think tank that dreamt up that Pixie 10 years ago. It was redundant then, it's still redundant now. Do you want to know why?
Well, I can imagine.
You give local councils the power to raise their own VAT, you immediately put them into competition with one another, so then what happens?
Well, yes.
They lower tax and they compromise the services they deliver.
Well, that could be the downside.
Yes, I'd say so.
Well, we felt dovetailing as neatly as it does with Mrs. Pritchard's plans for local government, it might be worth blowing the dust off and seeing if it had grown any wings.
I have to give my Mansion House speech to the city in a fortnight. I need a speechwriter.
Haven't you already got one?
Well, your ideas may be tired, old and lonely, but you deliver them with a certain robust conviction. Not to mention humour, which might appeal to some people.
You mean, sorry, you want...
Pop into number 11 at 6 o'clock. There's some people I'd like you to meet.
Really? Oh, Chancellor? Chancellor? Have you heard about this book?
I never want to catch you fighting ever again. Is that absolutely understood?
Yes, Mr. Barrett.
Good. How do you feel you're settling in here at Jericho Road, Georgina?
Fine.
You don't appear to have made many friends.
I have.
Yes, initially. You seem to. Where were your bodyguards this morning?
I asked to come without them.
Why?
Because I thought maybe being followed around all day by a couple of middle-aged blokes might be the reason why nobody wants to hang out with me.
Just take a seat for a second. I don't want you or your mother to imagine I'm not grateful for all the time and trouble she's put into, setting up this board of governors and, well, everything else that she's set in motion for us. But,
We don't.
But I do sometimes worry that, reluctant as I am to admit this, that this may not be the right place for you. Perhaps we can give it another few days before involving the Prime Minister. What do you think?
Bye-bye.
Ian. Pritchard. Yes, Mr. Pritchard. Yes, I know she's in a meeting. She was in a meeting last time I rang. Different meeting. And I was told she was going to ring me before she went into her next meeting. I've been ringing on and off since lunchtime, and that was 5 hours ago. So if you could... Oh, would you? Oh, would you mind? Would you be so good and kind? Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks again. Bye-bye.
Is everything all right?
Oh, hello.
It must take a bit of getting used to with everything that's happened over the last few weeks.
Yeah.
Have you not thought about getting a job down there?
Oh, sort of.
How does Ross feel about it?
Well, I think it suits her. You know, during the week when she's so busy, it isn't like we see anything much of each other.
And in the meantime, you're stuck up here on your own every night.
Well, me and Special Branch.
If ever you're...
What?
At a loose end, and you had nothing better to do, if ever you wanted to pop round for something to eat, one evening during the week.
All right. Well, thank you. That's very...
Well, I like cooking, and you don't always make the effort, do you, living on your own? I don't. Sometimes it's nice to have an excuse. Well, you can think about it. See ya.
Yeah, see ya.
It's been a dramatic day here at Westminster. Speculation was rife that Mrs. Pritchard would invoke the Parliament Act to try and force her parliamentary reform bill through the House of Lords.
So there I am, practically lying down on this settee in the Soho Grand with these two blokes and this woman.
Soho Grand?
It's where everybody who thinks they're anybody hangs out, OK?
Lying down?
Yeah. And they're going, it's the part you were born to play, baby. And I'm like, sod off. And they're going, 5,000 quid. And I'm going, 50. And they're going, 15,000. And I'm going, 60.
Good grief. Birmingham has a higher infant mortality rate than Cuba.
They weren't really Americans.
No, that's right, knobhead. They were Martians. I'm exaggerating. I'm trying to make it sound more exciting than it really was because I'm so sad. OK? One of them was American. All right? So, Mum, I'm going...
What's the part?
There is no part, dildo. It's a figure of speech.
So, hang on. What were they offering you £15,000 for?
I'm getting to that bit.
And what magazine did you say they were from?
I didn't. Yet.
Well, why don't we cut to the chase?
OK. They were from Wolf magazine.
Isn't that...
Yeah.
What?
Are you seriously telling me you've had a meeting with these...
I wasn't going to do it. I just figured it was worth being bought a few drinks and some silly smart-ass club, if they're dopey enough.
How did they get hold of you?
They wrote to me.
Here?
It's where I live.
So, just to clarify, you said no?
Damn right I said no. Mum, I had no intentions. I'm not displaying the family jewels, not for anybody. I mean, not unless it's in the context of a meaningful and fruity relationship, and even then they'd have to do some pretty smooth talking.
Promise me.
What do you think I am?
Just checking.
Mum, I told him. I said, my mother's a world leader. Do you think I'm going to embarrass her like that?
Did you?
Yes. Anyway, so when I was leaving, I saw this ad for bar staff. So I asked about it, and they said I can start tomorrow lunchtime.
You've got a bar job?
What's wrong with that?
No, I'm pleased. It's better than hanging round here all day watching DVDs.
Oh, I wouldn't go that far.
You could save up some money before you go to university.
On $6.50 an hour? It's a nice thought, Prime Minister. Hey, have you heard about this book?
Oh, this damn book. If I had time to worry about things like that, I'd be laughing.
Hello.
Ian, it's Miranda. Just to let you know, there's nothing in the book for you to be hugely worried about. He tries to make something out of the fact that you don't live together during the week, and he suggests that your marriage isn't as close as it was. But I think he knows he's on dodgy ground. It's not a big part of the book.
So, What is it about, then?
Basically, it's an attack on you, your aspirations. You are manipulative, Machiavellian, clinically ambitious, psychologically flawed, an unscrupulous player, a sly and ruthless strategist, and your morals, if they ever existed, are now entirely defunct.
You have been and continue to be manipulated by almost everyone around you. Me, Kitty Porter, but by no one more so than that brazen opportunist, Catherine Walker. Without her defection, the Purple Party could never have gained the bewildering electability that it acquired in the last 3 weeks of the election campaign. Up until that point, you were a well-meaning and amiable amateur with perhaps no more than a talent for serendipity, ripe to be exploited
What serendipity again?
Being in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing.
Ripe to be exploited by anyone who had the foresight to appreciate Pritchard's potential as a puppet Prime Minister.
But with Walker on board, Pritchard's party became a viable alternative to both opposition and government overnight.
Once on board the election roller coaster, there was no stepping off. So fearful was Pritchard, having been shoehorned into this impossible position, that on the night the Purple Democratic Alliance won the election, she fled home to Eatanswill in the small hours and in a blind panic, disguised as a post office worker, without even telling her husband and children where she was going.
Earlier that morning, in the small hours, Walker had been the first person alerted to Pritchard's unscheduled absence. It was she who dispatched Lennox to Yorkshire, she who drew up the first cabinet lists.
He goes on to suggest that Catherine is using Roz's success as a stepping stone to her own premiership, and that in 6 months' time there'll be a backbench coup that puts her into number 10.
This is divisive. It's repugnant.
Yes, it is. It's terrible.
Chancellor? Catherine, are you all right?
I think I might have had rather a lot to drink last night.
Tony Blair.
Where?
No, I rang him the night after I won the election. I rang him to ask him how to escape from number 10. I did tell you.
Yes, but you didn't tell him where you were going, did you? He didn't know that you had borrowed a postman's jacket, did he?
It isn't Kimberly. Kimberly wouldn't.
It's not Kimberly. There are other clues. An outburst in a cabinet meeting, the faux pas over the phone with President Bush. It's an inside job. Somebody very close to you has collaborated with this man.
Hi, Ola. I didn't know, as I suspected she'd get me up talking all night.
Where are you now? Are you coming back then?
No, I'm just leaving number 11 now.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I'll see you later then.
I'll see you tonight.
I've got some great ideas
Yeah.
for the wedding. I'll show you this evening.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see you.
Bye. Bye.
Love you. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
First of all, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to congratulate the Prime Minister for not invoking the Parliament Act yesterday, as she was widely believed to be on the verge of doing. Can she assure the House that she has seen the light and is no longer hell-bent on this meaningless tokenism and reckless waste of public money? Furthermore, can she assure the House that instead she will divert her energies into addressing matters of grave and proper national interest, such as the perilous state of the health service, the tawdry state of our secondary schools, and the shambolic mess our public transport system is?
Mr. Speaker, I remain on the verge of invoking the Parliament Act. But as I'm advised this is not something to do lightly, I continue to weigh up my options. And I take the Lord's proposed amendments very seriously. But if the right honourable gentleman across the way imagines for a second that a significant majority of people would not welcome the move to Bradford and everything it represents, and offers for increased public involvement in the way this country is run, then he's sadly mistaken, sadly out of touch, and woefully unaware of the mood within the country.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister seems confused.
For goodness sake.
Ignore him, he's a wanker.
And if she's looking around the chamber for friends, because she knows the one she thought she had surrounding her right now can't be trusted. No wonder she is confused, given that there is someone close to her, Someone perhaps even in her own cabinet, some ambitious person possibly sitting right next to her, who has been telling Mr. Raphael about this failing administration. And if her own supporters, her own friends don't see her lasting, then why should the rest of us?
Hi, I need to see the Chancellor.
Is that the new draft of the Mansion House speech?
Yes.
Can you email it to me?
Oh, yeah, sure.
I'll make sure she gets it.
Okay. Can I see her?
She's across the road. It's Prime Minister's questions. She'll send for you if she needs to see you.
There are a couple of things I'd like to run through with her in the speech.
Jot down anything you're concerned about in the email.
It'd be easier to talk to her about it.
I'll let her know.
It's Mr. Pritchard. Again, yes. I want... No, I hadn't forgotten it's Prime Minister's questions, but I do want to speak to her when she comes out. OK?
Weren't you in here yesterday with those magazine people on table 6?
Oh, yeah, I was. They offered me 20 grand to do some pictures.
Photos? Nude? 20 grand?
Not completely disgusting. Just, you know, a bit cheeky, a bit provocative.
20 grand? For what? Half an hour's work? You'd rather be racing around here all day earning $6.50 an hour with your brain going numb.
If I were you, I'd send your people down to the 17th, and then,
It's the first
make the
time
best
I've
of
done
it.
these.
Yeah. Oh, gotta go.
Did you hear what Paul Critchley said? I'm thinking the worst things about the people closest to me.
I'm dealing with it. How is Catherine?
Do you think it's her?
No, I don't know. I fixed up a 10-minute slot for you on the Today programme tomorrow morning at 8:10. You and Catherine.
That's going to be difficult.
It's perfect. A great double act.
Tomorrow morning between 8 and 8:30, the Prime Minister is having breakfast with the President of Nefada Leger.
Where?
Father Leger, you're being briefed on it this afternoon.
Does he speak English?
Well, he may do.
I can give you 5 minutes at 8:50.
We know very little about him.
No, sorry, that's no good.
But I've got 7 translators lined up, so we've got all the bases covered.
The Today programme's still on the air at 8:50.
He's called Ezekiel Masindi.
By which time it's lost 3/5 of its audience.
You're rather missing the point.
He established democratic elections in his country after years of military dictatorship.
Look, she pops out, the Foreign Secretary keeps him talking, she'll be back in before he notices she's gone.
The diary is flexible when it has to be. It's not something we like taken for granted.
He introduced land rights for the vast majority of ordinary people, which meant they were no longer at the mercy of drug barons and warlords. He's a very courageous man. Meeting the British Prime Minister is a big thing for him. It's a diplomatic pat on the shoulder.
She wants to cut it short. Well, how long does it take to pat someone on the shoulder?
I want you to find out who it was who talked to Raphael.
How?
I don't know, but I want you to do it. And when you do, I'm going to set a rocket off up their arse in public.
I wouldn't do it in public.
The barons are therefore the top rung of what becomes known as the English feudal system. Stanley! Stanley, I'm not going to tell you again.
Sir, I'm a chimpanzee.
Stanley, you're not a chimpanzee.
I'm one of them with blue faces and the sore bums.
Those aren't chimpanzees, they're baboons. At least get it right. Okay, Stanley, enough is enough. Pick your books up and come and sit next to Georgina.
What for?
Because I'm splitting you up.
Why?
Because I said so. My goodness me, Stanley Lewis. Anybody think you didn't want to know all about the English feudal system? So, it's 1066. William has landed. He's conquered the English at the Battle of Hastings, and he has a whole new country to govern. He's also still the Duke of Normandy, so he has to spend a lot of his time in France. So he entrusts the governance of this country to his barons up and down the realm. The barons...
It's important. Ross is keen. We look like performing monkeys. It's on the radio. We'll sound like them then. Look, the point is...
No.
You're giving the whole bloody book more prominence and credibility than it deserves. And the important question isn't whether I'm pulling her strings or not, it's who's the idiot that went and blabbed to Raphael about how she conducts her business sometimes.
I know that.
Do we know who it is?
Not yet.
Are we trying to find out?
Yes.
Do we have any clues?
It wasn't you, was it?
Would you like to repeat that?
She's appointed me to find out who it was. I'm trying to rule people out. The only way I can think of is to ask them.
You're going to go up and down Whitehall asking ministers of state if they're sneaky, backstabbing, duplicitous bastards.
Yes. So it wasn't you, was it? Can you deny it, then?
Close the door on your way out.
Do you have a problem with denying it?
I take it you've read this damn book.
Cover to cover.
Then you'll know I've been portrayed in a not altogether flattering light, won't you? If it was me, do you seriously imagine?
Come on, between the lines, he's portrayed you as a top-notch, thoroughbred political animal, which of course you are.
Okay. Why would I?
Well, why would anyone? Someone has. If she were to lose her nerve again properly, you would take over.
And that makes me your prime suspect. Fair enough. Now, fuck off.
Chancellor, Ben Sixsmith popped in earlier with a draft of the Mansion House speech. I asked him to email it to you. He seemed anxious to talk to you about it.
No.
Hello?
Ros?
What's the matter?
Well, it's very nice to speak to you.
Meg said...
Do you know I rang 6 times yesterday? Did anybody actually tell you?
Yes, I'm sorry. It was non-stop, wall to wall.
Is this really an emergency, or...
Have you read this book?
No, I've been briefed on it. Why?
You've been briefed on it and you didn't think to ring me?
No, why?
Well, doesn't it bother you what it says about our marriage?
Our marriage?
The Pritchard's marriage is clearly neither a supportive nor a happy one.
Well, that's nonsense.
The only person conspicuous by his absence outside number 10 on the day Pritchard stepped into office was the new Prime Minister's husband. They seem spectacularly ill-matched. Her undoubted charisma and quick mind is in sharp contrast to his plodding accountant's dullness.
You can't take it to heart, Ian.
He says you've outgrown me intellectually.
Well, that's not true.
What, didn't they brief you about this then? Did they only brief you on the important bits?
Look, Ian, it's malicious. And clearly its intention is to cause upset, damage and division. And I don't know exactly what it says, but...
Yeah, well, it's succeeded.
Where are you?
Is it true? Have you outgrown me, Ros?
Don't be ridiculous.
I'm in a car. I'll be in London soon.
Right. Good. I'll be very pleased to see you.
Yeah, right. Well, I'll see you.
They've just been trying to persuade me to spend £147 million on some brand new nuclear weapons when we haven't even used the old ones yet.
It's a conundrum.
Isn't it?
Not really. Not when you consider the limited shelf life of a nuclear warhead. Well, the good news is President Masindi speaks very good English. Ah, he was at Balliol.
Good, he probably speaks it better than you do then.
I was at Balliol.
I knew he was going to say that.
Mr. Pritchard's on his way.
Right.
Oh, and there was something else, Prime Minister.
What?
You might not want to turn the television on.
Sorry, not?
There is, apparently, a huge image of your elder daughter not wearing very much. In fact, nothing. Being illegally projected onto the side of the Palace of Westminster. The River Police and Special Branch try to locate where it's being projected from so that they can close it down.
Where is Emily?
In the flat.
Okay, so this is what happened. Calm down. Don't put the telly on. Mum, don't, please. No. Please don't, Mum. I mean it, Mum. I'm serious. Don't.
Whether it's intentional or not,
Emily's bottom is, we're reliably informed, right on the window of the offices belonging to the Leader of the Opposition. All in all, it's not been a good day for Mrs. Pritchard.
I didn't know they were going to do that.
You idiot.
I know.
Have you any idea how much nonsense I've had to deal with today?
I didn't know they were going to do that.
Roz, the river police have identified the place where the projection's coming from. They're going to be able to close it down within the next few minutes.
I can't stand this.
What?
Any of it. What the hell on earth are we doing here? Oh, Ian.
What were you letting her go and do something like that for?
Letting her? I wasn't letting her do anything. I didn't know she was doing it. How did you hear about it?
Hear about it? I've seen it. And why didn't you know she was bloody well doing it?
She's 19. I can't keep tabs on her round the clock. And in case you hadn't noticed, I'm kind of busy.
Your own daughter sprawling herself, naked.
She's your daughter too. I don't notice you down here trying to keep an eye on either of them.
Roz, I have a job to do, just like you. Mine happens to be in Eatanswill, where we've happily spent most of our lives.
Fine. Fine.
Until now.
But the fact remains that I am here, on my own, trying to look after them and run the country. So don't give me any of that rubbish about why did I let her do it, all right? Hey, Dad. Where have you been?
What's up? Nothing. Nothing.
I've got a boyfriend.
Well, are we doing it then, or what?
Do you want to?
I thought you wanted to.
Yeah, but do you?
Yes.
No, you don't.
Why am I saying yes then?
Because you feel guilty.
That's just silly.
And anyway, I've got a headache now.
Right then.
Night-night.
Night-night.
Why, yesterday when you were briefing me, did you not tell me what it said about my marriage and that bloody book?
I was trying to protect your feelings.
Next time, don't bother.
How's Ian?
He's gone.
Already?
First thing, he's taking Emily with him. We thought, well, I did. It'd be better if she wasn't here for a while.
I actually thought that what it said about your marriage was so ridiculous, that I...
did you?
Isn't it?
I don't know. I think we both agreed that it was nonsense. But I think we both know that it isn't. Of course, we didn't get to talk about it as much as we should have, because it all got eclipsed by Madam and her backside. Good morning.
Morning, Prime Minister.
Good morning.
The President's car's just pulling into Downing Street now, Ma'am.
Good. Oh, how did your Ellie get on with the driving test, Michael?
Passed.
Third time lucky. What did I tell you?
I'll tell her you asked, Ma'am.
See, Richard, you gotta stick at it.
Mrs. Pritchard, last night I saw your daughter's bottom on the BBC. And all day I hear of some unfortunate book. And it makes me so angry I could weep. People will always try to damage someone like you. They will always try to hurt you unfairly by attacking your family. But remember, these are small, insignificant people who do this. And you must rise above it. Always. However difficult it might be, whatever damage they try to inflict. Because you are an inspiration right around the world to millions upon millions of people. Really. And we need you.
Thank you. I needed that. Come and have some breakfast.
Patricia, she is 17 years old and she intends to study medicine. She's very serious, very solemn. Hannah is 15, very bright, very beautiful like her mother. Miriam.
I need her out of there in the next 60 seconds.
Well,
this is it, you see. You're not the one that has to wade in there and make yourself unpopular. Prime Minister, I'm so sorry.
Excuse me, Mr. President. So they all get along very well, do they?
He's travelled 11,000 miles for half an hour with me, and I'm excusing myself.
You're on air in 50 seconds.
It's a big deal moving the seat of government to Bradford. We all know that. Relocating 80,000 civil servants isn't something that anybody does lightly.
And the reason I'm pausing to think about it before I invoke the Act is precisely because Catherine has asked me to do so.
Shouldn't you have had these conversations before now?
We did. We have. And we knew the Lords would throw it out. And we knew we'd be faced with this dilemma when they did. You can hardly have enough conversations about something so important. But that's one of the things I've come to respect about the political process. Nothing's done lightly. Everything's done with great deliberation. And Catherine and I don't see eye to eye on this. And I know her opinion reflects that of a certain number of people in this country, and I take that very seriously.
Now you see, what are you going to do?
I want to take people with me. I don't want to bully people into it, like we were bullied into going to war with Iraq.
Now, you see, Mrs. Pritchard, a professional politician would never say what you just said, because inevitably it leads to the question, who's in charge, you or the Chancellor?
I couldn't do this job without Catherine Walker. I couldn't do this job without any number of people. And I'm not ashamed to say that. As long as I can rely on the talent and the commitment of the people I have around me, I think it's a strength, not a weakness.
Yes, but unfortunately the commitment of someone close to you is in question, isn't it?
One person, yes, it would appear to be.
What are you going to do about it?
I'm going to find out who it is. And when I do, I'm going to deal with it in an appropriate manner.
What are you waiting for? A sign? A symbol? A flash of light?
Maybe.
If you don't do it today, soon, you risk losing a lot of goodwill from a lot of people who have voted for you. You can't be seen to be this indecisive. Sorry, but you can't.
Prime Minister, there's been an incident outside President Macindy's hotel. Can we go into your office?
What's happened?
President Macindy's wife and his 3 daughters. They were leaving their hotel in Russell Square, going on a sightseeing trip, apparently, when they were shot at. They're all dead. It was a professional hit job. Masked gunmen, a stolen van.
God. When?
Within the last quarter of an hour.
Masked gunmen?
It's not clear who they are yet, but I assume... It's like I told you yesterday. There are some very powerful and very evil people in his country who don't like the fact that he's given democratic rights and legal protection to a lot of ordinary people.
His entire family? Somebody's going to have to tell him.
Yes.
Not me.
I think so. You are the most senior person here. Furthermore, it's happened on British soil. It is your responsibility.
Now?
You have to. It's hit the media.
How'd you tell somebody something like that?
I don't know, Ross.
Better go and ask him to join me.
Is there anything you want me to do?
Find out where they're taking the bodies.
Prime Minister.
Mrs. Pritchard.
I'm sorry, Mr. President. Ezekiel. This is the most difficult thing I've ever had to do.
I'd like you to put it about that if I hear any cracks about Emily's... any jokes about Emily's bottom, or indeed any other part of her anatomy, I shall be severely displeased. Okay?
Yes, Mr. Pritchard.
Dare I ask how she is?
Oh, she's fine. She's embarrassed. Stopping with me for a bit. And she just thought it'd be in this blasted magazine, and that me and Ros, and the vast majority of the population, you'd never know anything about it.
Poor kid.
No, not exactly. They gave her 20 grand.
You won't be on your own as much anymore.
No.
Still, if ever you did fancy coming round at all.
Carol, I'm married. I'm very happily married.
I know that. I wasn't trying to.
Well, perhaps you could help dispel any ideas out there that I'm not.
I was hoping to talk to you.
I've been preoccupied.
You're a very difficult person to get hold of.
I know.
I was hoping to talk to you.
Go on, then.
How's the speech?
Fine, very good.
Really?
Yeah, very happy with it.
I thought you might have run.
Well, I would have done, but,
Sure.
with one thing
We had
and another.
sex.
Yes.
So I'm engaged.
Yes, I know.
I can't face her.
Look.
I want to call it off.
What?
The engagement.
No.
I need to talk to someone. There's no one else. No one else knows. I appreciate you're busy.
You've got two choices.
Do I?
You can either tell her and risk her slapping you around the head and all the hurt and upset that that would entail, or you can shoulder the burden of the guilt about what happened and save her from any of it forever.
You mean lie?
Well, by omission, yes.
There's another...
What?
Choice.
Which? What? No, no, no. Don't mess your life up because of me.
Can I see you again?
No.
Why?
I don't want you to think that I'm not fond of you. You're a very bright man, and you obviously got a great future ahead of you, but it is not with me. And if you made that choice, you would regret it. Maybe not straight away, but it wouldn't take long. I'm old enough to be your mother.
You excite me. You're fantastic.
No. I'm impossible and ridiculous, and in 10 years' time, when you've got a handful of fantastic children, you and Orla, you will thank me for it. Promise me you'll be discreet. You could ruin my career, and it's all I've got at the moment. You should get an invite to the Mansion House. If you want to come, get to hear your speech. Mangled shamefully by me, no doubt, but... well, the food's good.
The Chancellor of the Exchequer, Prime Minister.
Hi.
You all right?
Yep. I'm alive. My family is.
I didn't envy what you had to do this morning. How was he?
It was some paramilitary organisation dedicated to an independent Nafada Leger, which in practice means peddling drugs and protection to the poorest and the weakest people in the country. Masindi had vowed to eradicate them when he came to power. It was clear they were behind it about an hour after it happened.
Listen, there's something I want to clear up.
What?
I wasn't in a very clever mood when Miranda came to see me.
You were the only minister who refused to deny it.
Does that tell you anything at all?
No. Except I've got to be a lot more circumspect in future about who I fail to be discreet in front of.
Your cabinet are your biggest rivals, as well as your closest colleagues.
The reason I've asked you round, I wanted you to know before it happens. And this is me being decisive. I am going to invoke the Parliament Act. I've already set the wheels in motion. Miranda's going to brief the press downstairs in about 10 minutes.
Why can't you do it from within? Everything. Everything in the bill, other than the Bradford clause, is brilliant. You're going to break down the power of the upper house and replace it with something more democratic. You're going to make central government more accountable to the people. You're going to rebuild local government so politics doesn't seem so remote. You don't need this symbol.
It's not a symbol, Catherine. Understand this. It's going to change the way we do politics in this country forever. It's why people voted for me. Because I can make politics mean something to them like it's never done before, and like it should. And that's surely the way forward.
There is the question of cost, and how you justify spending hundreds of millions that could otherwise be spent on health, on education, on transport.
Do you know how much real estate there is in Whitehall? I've just had a few figures done. 25 times more than we'd need to rebuild the whole lot in Bradford. You can have more money to spend than any other chancellor in history.
You can't sell Whitehall.
I can.
You can't. It embodies everything that's meant anything over the last 1,000 years. This is where the Speaker stood up to the King in the 14th century. This is where Cromwell beheaded Charles I. The Great Reform Act was conceived and signed here. It's where 2 world wars began and finished.
Yeah, well, that was all men, wasn't it? And perhaps it's time to move on to the next chapter. I'm the Prime Minister. And I've got a huge majority. And once I've invoked the Parliament Act and got my reform bill through the upper house, the Lords won't be able to stop me either.
How much did that cost?
20 grand.
You blew the whole lot.
Don't like it?
You could have done all sorts with that money.
Yeah. This is one of them. What's up?
Nothing. Not a bloody thing.
I want to go through some amendments to the Mansion House speech in the light of the PM's decision to invoke the Parliament Act.
Okay. So, how about one of the many memorable sayings of Winston Churchill, who addressed this gathering on 4 occasions between 1925 and 1928, was that those who try to build the present in the image of the past will miss out entirely on the challenges of the future.
Good.
You like that?
Very much.
Good.
It's all her fault. If she hadn't gone and become Prime Minister, I never would have been put in a position where I'd be asked to do something so stupid.
Oh, you had no choice in the matter.
I'm not saying that.
You're an idiot.
I don't know why you're so rattled about me buying a car.
That's just so easy, isn't it?
Sorry.
All of it. Oh, me and your mum. We didn't have a car of our own till I was 23. Cost £750.
Times change.
Don't they, Joe?
How much have you had to drink?
Oh, all these years. Me and your mum, we've had to be so careful about every damn penny. And you managed to get your hands on 20 grand and you blow it all in a single day.
I thought you'd be pleased.
Pleased?
So I'd spent it on something sensible and not just gone and blown it all and having a laugh.
You could have spent a quarter of that on something really decent and still had 15 grand left over for other things.
Go on to bed.
20 fucking grand for showing your arse.
You're drinking too much.
Is it any wonder?
You're freaking me out, Dad.
You weren't freaking out.
Do I? Why?
I was given some money once. And it wasn't 20 grand. No, it was 10. It came in very handy. Your mum wanted a new conservatory. And it paid for your uniform at Eaton's High and God knows whatever else we had to fork out for at the time.
So where'd you get 10 grand from?
Jeff Houghton. I loaned some money for him. Me, I did. Only he won't tell anyone, will he? See, I go to prison and your mother'll have to resign. It's best keep it to yourself, eh?
Prime Minister, there's been an explosion.
How do you describe what you've seen, Prime Minister?
It's horrendous. If this does prove to be a terrorist attack, yes, I will resign.
Ros, you fathead! What do you want?
A comment before we publish the pictures.
No, you can't.
You haven't told anyone, have you?
I'm this close to picking up the phone to my mother.
But I didn't know anything about all this.
Ignorance of what goes on inside your own parliament isn't any kind of a defence, Prime Minister.